The stars had always been a cruel mirror for humanity. They revealed endless possibilities but offered none of them freely. When Earth first reached the galactic stage, its people believed they had finally stepped into a community of equals. Instead, they found themselves kneeling in the dust, mocked, restricted, and treated as less than nothing. The Galactic Council called it order. Humanity knew it as change. Captain Adrian Cross had been there the day humanity was forced to dismantle its first dreadnought fleet under Council inspection. He remembered the shame, the laughter of alien delegates as Earth's pride was stripped piece by piece. He remembered the treaties that forbade human expansion beyond a handful of systems, while other species sprawled unchecked across the galaxy. He remembered every plea for aid that went unanswered, every massacre dismissed as unfortunate incidents. But what he remembered most were the graves on Vega Prime, on Mars, on colonies erased by raids while the Council looked away. The bridge of the Dauntless was quiet, the crew watching the latest transmission in silence. Another raid, another settlement burned. This time it was Horizon Reach, a colony of 50,000. The attackers were mercenaries hired by the Xur Empire, operating with the Council's tacit approval. Adrian had seen enough. Lieutenant Morave's voice shook with fury. 50,000 lives, Captain, and the Council won't even convene to discuss it. They'll tell us to stay calm, to be civilized, to endure. Commander Lewis Grant clenched his fists at his sides. How much more do we take? How many more warnings? How many more graves? Before we admit the truth, they will never respect us. Adrian's voice was low, but it carried across the deck with the weight of finality. Then it's time we stop asking for respect. From this day forward, we demand it. The words hung in the air like a storm waiting to break. Every officer, every soldier aboard the Dauntless had lost someone. Every human in every colony had suffered. They were done with patience. They were done with restraint. For decades Earth had played the obedient child, but while the galaxy laughed, Earth had prepared. Beneath Europa's ice sheets, in the shadows of Saturn's rings, in hollowed asteroids scattered across the belt, humanity had built in silence. Warships larger than cities. Weapons the Council had outlawed. Artificial intelligence networks capable of directing entire campaigns. They called them the Leviathan Protocols, whispered of them as myths. Now they were real, and they were ready. The first strike came at Proxima Outpost, where a Council fleet prepared to blockade Earth's supply lines. They never saw it coming. Human dreadnoughts emerged from the void like titans, rail cannons firing slugs at near-light speed. A single impact split a battleship in half. Drone swarms, numbering in the millions, tore through enemy formations like locusts made of steel. In less than 2 hours, the blockade fleet was reduced to wreckage. The galaxy gasped. For the first time in recorded history, a so-called lesser species had obliterated a Council-sanctioned fleet. The message was clear. Humanity had stepped over the line, and there would be no going back. President Elena Ward addressed the galaxy in a broadcast sent across every network, every world, every empire. She stood tall, her eyes blazing with a fury that carried the weight of every grave humanity had ever buried. We endured your laws. We endured your mockery. We endured your chains. And for what? For protection you never gave. For mercy you never showed. We bent, we begged, we played by your rules, and you rewarded us with graves. That era is over. Humanity will no longer be your prey. We will no longer plead for recognition. You will respect us, or you will regret forever the day you forced us to stop pretending. The Council met in chaos. Delegates screamed for sanctions, for war, for eradication. But beneath their outrage was something else: fear. They had seen the images. They had seen fleets annihilated, seen weapons they swore were impossible, seen humans standing tall without the mask of submission. The war that followed was not the one the Council expected. Humanity did not burn cities. They did not slaughter civilians. They struck with precision, dismantling the empires that had bled them for generations. Xur warlords found their fleets reduced to ash before they could mobilize. Baelith's slave markets were torn apart in coordinated raids. Their rulers dragged from their thrones and tried for crimes against sentient life. Cathari raiders, once feared across the stars, fled at the sight of human dreadnoughts rising from the void. But it was not only vengeance. For the first time, species long ignored by the Council looked to humanity as more than victims. Colonies abandoned for centuries by their supposed protectors found human fleets arriving not to conquer, but to shield. Worlds enslaved for generations found chains broken by human hands. Where the old order had ruled through fear and indifference, humanity brought something different: solidarity. On the bridge of the Dauntless, Marave watched refugees cheer as human troops disembarked on their liberated world. Her eyes were bright. They look at us as if we're saviors. Adrian shook his head. Not saviors, equals. For the first time, they see us as equals. Lewis Grant leaned forward, his voice heavy. And what if the Council still refuses? What if they rally everything they have to destroy us? Adrian's lips curved into a grim smile. Then they'll learn the lesson the hard way. They've spent centuries pushing us, bleeding us, underestimating us. They thought we'd endure forever. They were wrong. This is the final threshold. Past this point, there's no going back. The crew fell silent, the weight of his words settling like stone. They knew he was right. Humanity had crossed the line, and the galaxy had no choice but to face what it had unleashed. The storm raged on. Battles scarred the stars, empires trembled, and the Council's old order cracked under the weight of a truth it had ignored for too long. Humanity was no longer begging for respect. It was no longer playing the role of prey. It was no longer hiding its strength. The final threshold had been crossed and there was no return. The galaxy could accept humanity as an equal, or it could regret forever what came next.